Arr, grog.
Hey guys, it's the Sideshed podcast with me, Peter Fickling, Kerry Walbis and Matthew. An incredible week this week. We have Andonis Anthony with us, who of course plays Russ from The Archers. Welcome.
Hello. Can I just congratulate you, compliment you on the pronunciation of my name? That's quite a rarity that people get it right. So thank you very much indeed.
You told us a trick for doing it properly.
Yes, I learnt this from a drunk girl in Brighton who
it wasn't me.
When I was 17, I was in a club or something, and she said, "What's your name?" I said, "It's Andonis," and she paused and went, "That's two girls' names put together," and that's why I've used it ever since. So, Andonis. So there you go.
Yeah.
We have said many times about how you were one of our dream guests.
Oh,
and then, of course, Kerry sort of chanced her arm and managed to sort of get hold of you, even though you're a very reluctant social media user. And here you are. So why would you guess that we are so excited to have Russ on the show?
Oh, well, you know what? It's very kind. I do sort of observe Twitter sometimes, and saw some lovely compliments as well as other things. You guys asked, and you know what? I've listened to you guys, and I think you do a brilliant job. And I absolutely love working on The Archers. It's a dream job, and an opportunity to say that out loud is why I'm here, as well as wanting to work with you guys. So that's why I'm here. So there you go.
And it's not just work on The Archers as well, is it? You've got you get to deliver comedy gold. And Matthew was actually the sort of chief evangelist for us converting from the sort of one of the humdrum naysayers towards Russ to realizing the true genius of a character that he is.
Oh, thank you, Matthew. That's very kind of you.
I was an early cheerleader, yeah. I was, and I tell you what, I took pelters for it on Twitter as well.
I bet you did. I bet you did. It's quite vitriolic out there, so well done.
Yeah, I've witnessed the Russ rage by proxy,
okay.
So I know what it's like.
Yeah, we just ignore it now, don't we?
Oh God, he does. He's a bit Marmite, isn't he? He gets a good reaction.
When I was living down in Australia, there was someone who actually there was a restraining order because he went after. No, it was a she. She went after the actress that played Miss Mangle in real life and told her to leave Guy Pearce alone and let him and Jane be happy.
No way. Is that what I've got to look forward to? How fantastic!
I don't know.
We've shown your photograph now. You need to be careful.
I was about to say they don't know what I look like, but they.
I was going to say, do you get clocks in the street or not?
No, God, no.
Okay, because Ryan was on. He said that people sometimes come up to him and ask him if he's going to have a showdown with Rob Titchener, and just, how do you know who I am?
Gosh, no. Thankfully, I don't. And I'm not sure what kind of attention I would get on the street if they did know it was me, but they don't. So there you go.
So, Andonis, when you got the calling,
yeah, and it felt like a calling. It felt, fantastic. Yeah, I love that.
Were you already an Archers listener?
Well, I tell you what it was. It was almost like an ambient sound in my life rather than sort of an avid listener. And but it was my memory. The Dum-de-Dum was really, really, really was part of my very early life. I used to go and spend the summers with my grandmother in Hastings every year, and she was a massive fan, huge fan, and she didn't get to see me join the ranks, and that would have been a wonderful moment for her, I think. So so I was extremely proud, and I really was actually extremely proud of and honoured actually to be asked. And I've been going into the same Tesco's for 20 years now, and there's a lady called Violet in Tesco's, and she's clocked me on Corrie sometimes, and Emmerdale and a few of the other soaps, and she always asks me what I'm up to, that, and it's awful when you've got nothing on, do you know what I mean, to try and fill the gap a little bit. But she said she's and she calls me Tony. She's the only person in the whole world. I don't know why. I don't know where she's got it from. She calls me Tony, and I walk in, and she always the same. She goes, "Hiya, Tony. What are you up to?" And I said this one time I'd got the call, and I was in there the next day, and I said, "Oh well, Violet, I'm going to do a few eps of The Archers." And she took a step back and she looked at me and went, "Tony, that's an honour." You know what, Violet? You're absolutely right. So yeah, that's how I feel about it. I'm very honoured. That's it.
Who did your grandma like as a character?
She's quite. You know what? I can't tell you. I couldn't tell you details, but I know it was on the radio. She had a huge, lovely kitchen. I always remember it being on the radio in the kitchen, and she'd listened to it from the get go since the 50s. So to be in the 70th anniversary picture was a highlight for me. I quite liked that. Yeah. So there you go.
There is something very comforting about, when you hear that music, as you've just mentioned, and, even if you're not paying that much attention to what is going on, the sound of the characters, the storylines, you just can't help getting dragged into the plots and, becoming more and more familiar. I think I've been listening for about 40 odd years now.
Wow.
With patches of going to uni and paying a bit less attention, but yeah, I think that is what happens, isn't it?
Yeah,
Do you remember the storylines that you can first recall?
Well, yeah. There's so many, and the wonderful thing I think about the Archers again is the fact that they do deal with things current, happenings, and mixed with the comedy. So I think the storylines that are going on at the moment, particularly with the slavery, the modern slavery, is absolutely fantastic. And in the same
Pro
episode,
or against?
You know what? I've landed on the against. That's where I've decided. But yeah, and just the fact that you can have, you can be dealing with modern slavery, and then Linda Snell talking about mystery plays, and I love Linda Snell. I love her. She's probably my favourite character. But yeah, so I think that's kind of what I love about it as well. And you're absolutely right, Kerry. I think it's a beautiful soundtrack to, and a relaxing soundtrack to an evening. It really is. So I've waxed lyrical about the Archers.
So it was mid to late 2018 when you came into it, I think?
It was, yeah, it was. And it was, it was. It's been about 3.5 years now, I think. And again, you don't know how long you're going to last, and I came into it thinking it's going to be a few episodes and how wonderful, and here I am, sort of still sort of flitting in and out, and I'd be the happiest man alive if that could go on for the next 40 years. I'd have to be quite old at that point. But
I always kind of rely on where I am at certain points in my life when I'm listening to the Archers, and I distinctly remember Russ becoming a character in the living room in Portugal, which means I must have moved here, which means it was 2018 when you were being introduced. It wasn't Brazil, so I knew you weren't in my Brazilian days, but you were in my
wow, you get about. You get about, don't you?
Oh, they've got the Kerry and Peter will speculate as to why, but it's not true.
He's some sort of low-life criminal, we reckon.
Is that what it is? Smuggler or something?
It's not a spy, let's put it that way. When did you really know that Russ was for keeps? When did you start to get a feeling that they had they told you, or did you was it just you could see it you could read the tea leaves and see it in the script?
I think gradually, and I still don't think that. I'm quite a pessimist, really, and because I love it so much. I think, well, when's this loveliness going to end? And so I think just as time goes on and how sort of integrated amongst the community he becomes, and I think more and more he's becoming sort of part of the community as opposed to simply a sort of add-on to another character and another storyline. So I think the more that happens, the more I see that actually this character does have longevity, and I hope so. Anyway, I mean, who knows? I mean, I know as much as you guys do in what's coming up, and the true gatekeepers of these, the characters and the storylines of these guys, the script writers and the producers, and Jeremy the editor, and all these guys, they make the decisions. So I'm constantly sending them gifts, but I'm not sure it's working.
Well, no one was more happy than me to see you and Lily fall on your ass in Manchester and end up back in Ambridge.
Oh, okay. I think I was slightly happier actually. I was over the moon. I think that's great, isn't it?
You have had some scenes with Chelsea, and I think that she's an absolutely incredible new character.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
the hair cutting scene was one of the real highlights of the last couple of months. That was absolutely amazing and brilliantly
thank you.
acted
You
by
know,
everyone involved.
I totally agree. I think Chelsea's a brilliant character. I think she's so entertaining to listen to and so colourful. I love it. I love, and obviously the way she's playing it. So yeah, so I loved doing that, working with her actually, and working with Chelsea. So yeah, it's good.
But we need you to come out of Lower Locksley a bit more, I think.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. You're always like in the kitchen or in the art gallery. Or...
It's like the ravens leaving the tower. If Russ leaves, the whole thing starts to crumble.
Brilliant! I love that. I love that. Just keep me there. I don't care. Occasional sort of pop my head out of the window and then put me back for a few.
It's sad that you haven't been called up for the mysteries.
Oh, I'd love to have done that. Yeah,
but I mean, you did have that slight abrasive session with Jim with the ghost stories.
Yeah, again, these are the characters that I absolutely love, and Jim Lloyd is one of those characters that I just absolutely love. So doing that was brilliant, and I loved that. That awful sort of fail of trying to direct him was really such good fun. It really was. It was great.
There was a killer line in that when someone suggested, like, well, was it Elizabeth suggested to Jim maybe Russ could, and you were right there, I think. Yeah. He said, maybe Russ could direct. He meant, this Russ? There is no other Russ in Ambridge.
Absolutely. Yeah, no. I again, I love him for that, because he's a bit of he's a foil, isn't he, for this sort of comedic. Yeah, he's one of those guys. He's Malvolio, isn't he, to a degree, I think.
I think, but you orbit around that as well as a character. I think all of these comedic things do occur around you, like whether it's Vince Casey, whether it's Chelsea.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's isn't it, pomposity? It's everyone loves to sort of pinprick pomposity, and
but you realize at the end of the day that you are fallible. Like you concede to Chelsea's haircutting skills. You listen to Joy when she starts talking about being curvy.
Totally.
Vince catching him out in the art gallery, and he sort of Russ was quite gracious.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think we can look at these characters in a very sort of black and white way, and they're so not. I mean, and I've got quite strong feelings about Russ, actually. I think I know he gets a lot of bad Twitter press, but I think I think underneath all of that, he's quite a decent guy, actually, and I think he has sincerity about him, and I think he has empathy, but that's covered in a really quite thick veneer of sort of arrogance and vanity and all of those things, which are brilliant to play and that would give him that colour. But actually, underneath all that, I think, and again, this is just my opinion. Just my opinion. He has sincerity in his sort of passion for the arts and his love for Lily, and I think he's real. I don't think he's the devil that people think he is.
But I have to ask: do you think he would still be with Lily if she didn't live in a stately home with an art gallery attached?
And this is literally, and again, other opinions are out there, and they're just valid as mine. I just literally I have to look at this in a bubble, look at the scripts and take it at face value. But I think he would. Okay. I liked it. I've got to find things about this character that I like. That's the way I work with these people. I like to look at what I can work with and what I like about these characters. And I think one of the things that I do like about Russ, or I've chosen to like about Russ, and I've chosen that he's like, is that actually he does love Lily, and it's not about trying to get his feet under the rich table of Lower Locksley. I think he's genuine. So that's and again, I know that people might not agree with that.
Time will tell.
And again, absolutely, time will tell. And it's not for me to say that that's right. I think again, I use this term, the gatekeepers. This is way below my pay grade, and I think what we'll see what happens. And I think part of the joy of working on sort of continuing drama generally is that you have to roll with the punches. So you have to go, oh, okay, so that's completely different to what I thought he would do or think or say. So and you've just got to be able to make that work, I think. So
well, when you've been around for a couple of decades on the Archers, they occasionally just completely reinvent your character. So you might So that's something you can look forward to. You just turn up one day, it's like, oh, they've decided he's now a kind of a rather jolly avuncular character who just sort of wanders around ruffling kids' hair.
Yeah, I could live with that. I quite like
Has Russ ever been in the Bull? I can't recall.
I don't. Oh God, I can't recall now. I don't think he has actually.
I know he went to Grey Gables for the night, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, but I don't think he has. I don't think I don't think I've recorded a scene in the Bull.
That was the episode where he did that enormous sort of about turn in terms of being a prick. He was impossibly rude to bloody hell, my brain, Tracy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And suddenly turn good.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I think, I mean, let's, I think the whole business with Chelsea, for example, I think people are quite sceptical, cynical about his intentions towards Chelsea, for example. And I genuinely think he's a teacher and he sees potential. And his Matthew, tell me if I'm wrong here.
No, preach, Russ.
Preach. He's a teacher and he sees potential and he wants to allow that potential to be fulfilled. And I think he's quite passionate about that as well. Again,
that's not what I took from Matthew's WhatsApps today.
Come on, I've barely had a second to send any WhatsApps. I mean, what everyone was suspecting between Russ and Chelsea then came to the fore, at least as much as Freddie suggesting it to Lily to wind her up.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, I think these things are out there. They're not just in the minds of the Twitter sphere. I think they are within the minds of the scriptwriters, and they do, and some of the like the business with Elizabeth. Oh, are they? All that business with Elizabeth. Again, not for a moment. I'll caveat this with my opinion. Never did I think that was ever going to happen, but that question was raised, and I think Freddie raising the question of his intentions towards Chelsea, and is as an interesting one. But my opinion is it's being we can raise these questions to answer them, and I think the answer will be not.
All he did with Elizabeth was help her out with a panic attack.
Yeah.
And drove her.
Yeah, but the beauty of it was the possibility, though, wasn't it? In all of these situations, it's like, will he, won't he? What's going to happen? I had full expectation you'd be bending her over the kitchen table. I actually thought you would definitely be on it with her, for sure. So was proved very, very wrong.
Yeah, but again, I mean, I think the questions are raised, and I think these are, and again, who knows? This is the beauty of these things: is that who knows what the script writers have got in mind, or what Jeremy's got in mind, or the team there are absolutely fantastic at sort of driving the stories forward and in directions that are are difficult to predict, and so I'm not a voice of. Basically, I don't know what I'm talking about, really. But I have an opinion, and again, I think the thing with Elizabeth is I think Russ. God, I'm a real defender of Russ here, aren't I? I don't mean to be. I think Russ stepped up to the plate and was quite calm in a difficult situation, and did it for all the right reasons. Was because he showed empathy, and
he was damn good at it as well. I think
he was, wasn't he? Yeah. So
if we're to be romantically linked with everyone we help who's having an anxiety attack, I don't know where we go with that. That means I'm romantically linked with everyone I met at a rave in the early 90s.
That is actually quite possible, though, Matthew.
Yeah, that is. Sorry, sorry, I didn't think that one through.
No.
Me and you too, Matthew.
And me as well. But it's what an extraordinary position you're in, as in that never quite knowing the storyline, let alone how many more months or years you may well be present.
Absolutely.
Exciting.
And it is exciting. And I think if Russ was sort of killed by a stampeding herd in the next couple of eps, then you know what, I would I'd thank my lucky stars that I'd been involved. It's been an absolute joy, and again, all the team, and I know that it sounds so rubbish, doesn't it? But all the team there are so good. They're such nice people. It's just it really is a joy to walk into that building in Birmingham and play with these people and record this stuff. It's absolutely fantastic. So
Do you know when your next episodes are going to be aired at all?
I don't at the moment. I don't.
Aha.
But yeah, so next year though, I think now.
Yeah.
So yeah. So we'll see. But I
When
don't. Again, they keep me in the dark as much as you do, and you can sort of drift out and drift back in, and again, I kind of love that. Yeah.
Okay, that kind of pisses on my next question, which is
Sorry about that.
No, but what kind of note? I mean, when you were talking about when you got the call and to go on there and what an honor it was.
Yeah.
What kind of note? What kind of brief did they give you about Russ's character initially? Did you know he was going to be a controversial?
No. Yeah, literally just the script. I mean,
wow, okay.
Yeah. So occasionally, I mean, obviously, when you're recording, you get brilliant direction from the directors there. They are absolutely fantastic, and they will give you notes and they will give you sort of inclinations as to sort of character and where we might be going with this particular part of his life or part of So they do steer you well, but initially, yeah, it was just the script, and so I went in quite blind, but yeah, that's kind of how I like to work anyway. To be honest with you, just give me the script and I'll try and work it out from there. And if I'm doing a terrible job, then tell me. So no, we don't want.
Has it ever happened to you?
Yeah, most of my career. At some point, someone said, "Oh, that's a bit rubbish. Can we do that again, please?" Yeah.
What was your route into acting?
I had a really strange one. I went to I did a business degree, and I came out of university thinking, yeah, I don't want to do that, and I'd fulfilled all my sort of family obligations as to sort of doing responsible stuff, and thought, right, I'm going to be an actor, and then I went off and went to sort of part-time drama school in London, and then started and got an agent. After about 3 years, and started working, and I've been very, very lucky, and I've been working in the industry for about 25 years now, so if not more, actually. Gosh, 30, my lord. That's depressing. So yeah, I've been really lucky in that respect. That was my sort of way in, really. But again, there's no real obvious way into this industry, and
so there's an alternative universe where you're blathering on about NFTs and Bitcoin.
Yes, there really is.
Yeah.
There really is. No, that was never going to happen. Really, I wasn't very good at it either, to be honest with you. But yeah, so that was. But again, I mean, I've been doing radio for about 20 years now, I think, and I think it's my favourite medium. I think out of everything, I think I love doing radio. I could spend my entirety doing radio. I love it. It can be anything. You're not shackled by how you look and what your sort of your visual fit is within casting. So I think that's the wonderful thing about voice work generally. So yeah.
What do you think Russ looks like? Because that is actually one of the questions. You've just said you don't have to really think about it, and kind of tied in with that is when you're doing a radio part. Do you think, oh, what does this character look? Do you visualize their appearance?
I not particularly. I visualize clothing, and I visualize what they sort of that kind of thing. And but apart from that, unless there's something sort of within the script that's specific, if some specific physicality, then no, I don't really. And I think I imagined Russ was me with slightly longer hair. Who wore who was slightly more sort of looser in his clothing. I don't know really, but yeah.
One of our listeners got in touch about that because I posted your photo as a bit of a promo for the show.
Okay.
And I'm going to attempt to name. Well, it's Jane Antoinette. I presume Croucher, but maybe Crucher. Who knows?
Oh, hello.
Because we've got Jane
Hello,
Antoinette
Jane.
in there. Yeah, she said, "No way is that Russ. You've been diddled. Russ is an extremely astute, portly man who dresses in dark red velour suits with elbow patches, wears a cravat when he tries to impress people. He carries a battered briefcase so that he can pretend to do the Times crossword. Actually, now that I think about it, he's Michael McIntyre."
You know what? That's brilliant, Jane. That's absolutely fantastic. I love that. Yeah, that's what he looks like. That's exactly what I've got in mind now. Oh my God, I've been visualizing him wrong all these years. Yeah, no,
you're not far off what I imagined him looking like, to be honest.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to.
Maybe you, but with the elbow patches. Some corduroy goes on.
Yes, exactly.
I had a kind of Edward Fox in The Day of the Jackal kind of look.
He's quite
with the kind of necktie cool, and the kind of
again cravat look, that wasn't it? And
yeah, exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, conversely, Rob Williams did say with those deep dark looks, why isn't he in some deep dark spy thriller? So there you go.
Well, you don't have to ask my agent that, to be honest with you. But there you go. Fantastic.
That could be a great plot reveal for Russ. He's deep undercover.
That would be amazing.
What is he researching? Textile artists in Stoke.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Jacob Portland in Stoke is actually a Russian mole at the top of the tree, and Russ is onto him.
He's deeply in. That's fantastic. You know what? I'm going to be talking to them at work about that. Definitely.
That textile owl's got a bloody mic in it. It's wearing a wire, I'm telling you.
Textile owl.
I love the idea of that textile owl. I have to say.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Vince bought the Sparrowhawk, didn't he?
He did. He did. I thought that was very nice of him. I love Vince as well. I think there's a character.
Oh, absolutely.
Interesting guy. Yeah, he could end up being quite dark as well, and all of that. I think he's great.
We thought he might be at the top of the slave ring for a while, but
yeah, he could very well be in that kind of thing, couldn't he?
You don't have a cobweb tattoo, do you?
I don't. I do have the odd tattoo, but not a cobweb.
Yeah. So you're not one of the slave masters.
Whatever it is you need to be a slave master, Russ doesn't have it. I think
he doesn't, does he, really?
And that's not. So I was trying to think of a way of saying it that doesn't say anything good or bad about anything positive about slave mastering.
Yeah, Russ isn't it.
Did you rumble verbal kint in the first few seconds of The Usual Suspects? Then?
I ruined the movie. I used to work as a cinema usher when that came out, and I ruined it for myself because I wasn't watching the movie. All I was trying to do was to crack the code. So I did work it out, but only by ruining the movie.
Oh, how on earth did you do that? I remember seeing that for the first time and being absolutely amazed at that twist. You're obviously a genius.
Because you enjoyed it. Because you allowed yourself to let the wash over you. Yeah.
We were halfway in a taxi home from the watershed in Bristol, and one of the girls in the taxi went, "So Gabriel Byrne killed everyone, did he?" Like, hang on. I think we need to go back and watch the 8 o'clock.
Oh, I want to watch that film now you mentioned that.
So we know Russ enjoys art and he enjoys cookery and kettles. What do you get up to in your free time, Andonis? What do you get up to up in Yorkshire?
I think. Well, no, I'm in. You mustn't say that. I'm in Greater Manchester. Really?
Oh no, sorry.
Obviously, I missed the slight bit of the pre-record when we.
I live in a place called Staley Bridge, about 8 miles east of Manchester, into the hills, and it's
okay. All right. And that's not going into the Pennine.
Kind of, yeah. It's just on the verge. It's very pretty.
Right.
So
nice.
So
lots of standing with your foot up on a stile, staring into the mid-distance.
Exactly. Gosh, I think you've been spying on me, haven't you? Yes, no, exactly. Oh God, I'm not like Russ, really. I'm not as clever as he is, or as artistic as he is, and none of those things. I work a lot. As well as acting, I work a lot behind the camera, and I do a lot of filming for particularly live event stuff. So I spend most of my life, when we are having theatre and gigs and things, is directing live event filming. So I spend a lot of my time doing that, and I've been doing that this week, and I've just been doing the Matthew Bourne ballets, and I work with people like the Welsh National Opera and people like that, filming stuff for them. And I love, so most of my life, because I love film as well as everything, has got something to do with the camera. I'm a bit of a geek where cameras are concerned, and I love playing the piano as well, actually. But there you go. Love that.
Funny that you're behind the camera, but you prefer radio, isn't it?
I know, isn't it strange? I do love working on camera as an actor as well, but there's something about radio as an actor. I think it's a really pure form, and I absolutely love it. And if I had to choose, if anyone's bizarrely out there thinking of me for a television role, please close your ears. But if I had the choice of picking, you had to pick a specific medium to do for the rest of your career, then I think it would be radio, because it's so freeing. I find it very freeing. So yeah.
Once the white hot light of the cider shed exposure has hit any actor, I mean, the ceiling on their career just disintegrates into a fine dust. I mean, that's...
I'm almost, I'm almost quite scared, if I'm completely honest with you.
Yes, it is. Yeah, you should be. Yeah.
You're about to be catapulted into the stratosphere. Did you just say you play the piano, Andonis?
I do play the piano. And I enjoy that, but only for me. I couldn't. I used to play in bands and things when I was younger, and I couldn't do that now. I get too nervous, to be honest.
Or were you like an indie keyboardist, or were you kind of?
Well, I used to play guitar and I hate to say it, and I apologise for the vast majority of Sussex, where I sort of roamed around in my younger years. I used to play the guitar and sing. Very badly, both guitar and singing.
If it makes you feel any better, I played guitar in a band called the Groove Movement.
Oh, amazing! That sounds good. That's good. My first band was called Rough Edge, and it was at least a month before we realised that sounds like roughage, and that's what we were called.
What, Matthew? Why weren't you called the Groovement?
I know. Yes. I suggested that, and I got shouted down.
Oh, fools!
It's a lot. Yeah, it's bringing up a lot of bad memories.
Oh, sorry.
Oh dear.
I recently found an old poster where someone had written I joined the band about 2 days after they'd fired the previous guitarist, and they'd written the chords down on a piece of paper, and they're pretty much all the same chords for every song. And Angus, the bass player, who's still a friend of mine, had written in brackets for the fourth song, "Piss simple one."
Very sophisticated.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we didn't mess around.
So, Andonis, you've listened to The Archers this week, I presume.
I have, yes. It's all been very exciting. Very exciting. Yeah.
Poor old, Natasha and Tom moving into.
Isn't that there's a lovely nativity element to that, isn't it? That I absolutely love. There's no room at the sort of flat above the store. I think that's fantastic.
There's no room at Pat and Tony's either, by the sounds.
I know, they're squeezing it in.
Tony doesn't even want to feed his son.
I know.
He didn't want to split his lunch, did he?
He didn't. It's quite resentful, wasn't he?
It was a very special anniversary lunch, though, wasn't it? That Tom had forgotten.
That's true.
I just want to say at this point, is it acceptable to forget an anniversary of your parents?
Yes.
Well, it was the 47th, so it's not one of those biggie ones, is it?
No.
I think it's entirely reasonable to carry on your childhood sort of attitude towards your parents of being self-absorbed and not really interested in them. I think it's absolutely fine. I don't expect my son to ever develop any particular fascination in me. You've got children, haven't you, Andonis?
I do. I've got two girls, and they are 20 and 18 now, and I am literally invisible to them. And I expect that to continue for the vast majority of my life.
You're not getting factored into TikToks and stuff like that, like my students do to me. Okay.
No, thank God not. No.
I'm not sure how much of me is out there on the internet via my students. It's normally me coming into the class, pointing at the phone, saying, "What is that you're doing?" And then I think it's set to Taylor Swift, and it goes out there to the world.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. That sounds like a sport that I could get involved with. That sounds brilliant.
I tell you what, I don't buy Pat and Tony being into Parks and Rec. I'm not having that.
You took the words out of my mouth. It was this kind of. It was the kind of look how hip and relatable they are. And it's like, no, they're Pat and Tony Archer. Let's just leave them as that. We don't need to turn them into something else.
Also, what was their window of opportunity to binge watch all of Parks and Rec again? Because I started binge watching it recently, and it's bloody impossible to get through all of it. Once you get to season 3, there's about 27 episodes.
Well, I think they thought they had 2 months to do that, didn't they? It was really odd hearing them being, the attempt to make them seem like normal humans. Was funny.
I enjoyed the fact that Tony was so disappointed when Tom didn't like it. I just quite liked that.
Yes.
I just
That tells me everything I need to know about Tom.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. That is, I'm not a cultural snob in any way, except that I dislike people who are cultural snobs. I'm a snob about that. But Tom, there are certain shows that are a kind of litmus test for someone's soul, and I'd say Parks and Recs is one of them. You don't have to love it, but if you can't at least see the kind of joy in it, then I think that says something bad about you.
I think Pat is Tammy 1, Ron Swanson's first wife. I think in terms of the absolutely terrifying matriarch that rules over him like his mother. So, but anyway, I mean, it was like you're right, Andonis. It was a little bit nativity-esque, wasn't it? I expected when they said, I'm putting all this stuff in the barn. It was stuff they were taking out of Tom's room to make space. I thought they're putting them in the barn. She's pregnant. What are they doing?
Yes, absolutely. There's going to be cows at the birth. It's going to be specifically nativity, isn't it? It really is.
And then you had Hazel as the kind of Herod figure. And I would say that if anyone's having as much fun as you playing a character at the moment, it might be the act playing Hazel.
Absolutely.
Because she's just awful.
Oh, honestly, it's one of those ones, isn't it, where I get so involved, even though I know exactly where they are and they're recording and blah, blah. I get so involved, and I've been shouting at my radio where Hazel's concerned. Incredibly frustrating.
Yeah, she was just like striding round, being passive aggressive and gaslighting people left, right, and centre, evicting whoever she possibly could.
I know. But I loved Ed Grundy for getting, come on, he got it back. He really showed her, I thought, didn't he? In a Grundy-like way. So
Are you able to do that then between scenes? Kind of be just a normal Archers listener, and then flip to sort of like a kind of critical self-awareness when it's a Russ scene, or is it dependent on you just not like at the moment you're not in the plot so much, so you can kind of let it fade to the back of your mind?
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? I can almost instantly step out and I'm back in Ambridge, visualizing Ambridge and visualizing even the characters that even if they don't look like the actors. It's bizarre, but I can see it all. And I love it for that. I struggle with listening to Russ scenes generally because I'm quite self-critical. So I listen to it and think, oh, you could have done that a little bit better, hadn't you? You could have done that, So I struggle with listening to my own scenes actually, but I do force myself.
You're a lot more modest than Russ, aren't you? That's for sure.
Oh yeah. No, that's kind of why I love playing him. Really, I love his arrogance. It's brilliant.
I'll send you all a clip later. I'll put it on the show as well. There's this amazingly modest, sort of quietly spoken Tasmanian Australian comedian forcing himself to be an arrogant dick on a radio show, and he just nails it, like absolutely nails it. I'll send it to you later.
See, I could have done that. I wish I'd done that today. That would have been absolutely fantastic.
Oh yes,
if I'd just been a proper knob and come in and really.
But you could have started. You should have started a couple of days ago. Sent us a rider, some kind of peculiar rider. It's like,
Peter was fantasizing about this, that you would just come on and actually be Russ. But
Peter, I feel like I've disappointed. I just and I feel like it's a real missed opportunity.
Imagine actually talking to Russ. I mean, talking to you is great. Don't get me wrong, but imagine talking to Russ.
Oh, I feel yeah. I know what you mean. I think it would be great fun, wouldn't it? But I'm sorry, you've got me, Peter.
Well, I lived for a good few years in Montpellier and Bristol, so I've met Russ probably about 17 million times. I was telling the guys before that I once saw an ad in the corner shop that it said struggling artist looking for spacious room in well-lit house and can't pay rent but will pay in art.
Oh, wow.
And I kind of looked at that and thought, that's Russ, isn't it?
It is Russ.
That is Russ. That's absolutely fantastic. I've come across a few Russes in my time. There was a house full of artists in Finchley when I was but a youth, and it was full of mezzanine beds and artists, the whole house, and they were all so many Russes. They were all Russes, and I felt very out of place, I have to say.
Finchley, were you living there? Finchley was my first.
Oh, was it? No. I had a girlfriend in Finchley, and she was living in this place. So yeah.
No, because I got the impression we both landed in London at the same time, but maybe that's
when were you? 90s? 90s.
Yeah, 93. At age 19, I started making mistakes in London. And then,
so 1990, I got there at 18 and started making mistakes in London.
It was such a forgiving place then, because I remember like tricks like buying packs of chewing gum and then getting £25 cash back on a Friday.
Yes.
And that's.
I'm just so happy there's no social media back then. That's my own.
Yes.
Thank the Lord for that. That's all I can say.
Yeah, we've all swerved that one, haven't we?
Yes.
I mean, because you're 4 children. Because Kerry's got 2 sort of grown-up children. They're slightly older. I guess yours are grown up as well, really, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Even for that generation, they missed the worst of it, didn't they? They like had the kind of like the first part of their adolescence wasn't quite so documented, or kind of, they didn't. I'm terrified for my son, like I'm gonna have a conversation with him about all kinds of stuff that you guys have dodged.
But weirdly, my 2 don't get involved in it. I don't know quite how that's happened, but they are not on social media.
You are more entertaining than TikTok, Kerry. Watching you stomp around the house with a giant glass of wine and a trough of
a leg of lamb.
Leg of lamb.
Brilliant.
Yeah. But do your daughter, are they involved in social media much?
You know what? My eldest 20-year-old isn't really. She's not sort of interested. My youngest at 80, she is. She enjoys Instagram and all of that malarkey. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think there's a slight bullet that's been dodged there. I think it's a very strange topography that kids are growing up in nowadays with social media. But it's kind of fascinating. I kind of enjoy a little bit of dip my toe into Twitter just to see how people are reacting to Russ. I quite enjoy that. That's my favourite.
You'd be surprised how many teens here are over it, because I mean, a lot of the written exam questions, they try to, I guess, be trendy and down with the kids, and it's like, what do you think the effect of screen time on teenagers has, or like should parents restrict their screen time? And most of the time they come back with really well balanced answers, like, I think we should restrict screen time.
Right.
Apps are a waste of time, they're very futile, they're very vacuous, and like, you're reading it thinking,
amazing.
My God.
Yeah, but they're answering an exam question, aren't they? That's probably not what they're doing at all.
Well, there's 2 sides to that, because sometimes they're telling the truth and sometimes they're telling you what they want you to hear. But I showed a student last week a picture of a girl listening to music on her phone, and someone sat in an orchestra chamber, and she said, I'd rather be listening to the orchestra, because so they are, the kids are all right.
Yeah, I think you're right. I do think you're right, and I think they're probably more educated about the dangers of it than the previous generations who weren't. So hopefully they can see it coming.
So will your girls be with you at Christmas? It's next week. I can't quite believe that is the case, but
I know it's madness, isn't it? Yes, I have. They come over to mine a couple of days before Christmas, and we have another. So I have 2 Christmas days basically. That's what I do.
Yes.
And so full on sort of turkey feast to be made by me, poor things. So I quite enjoy that. I have to
Is
say.
it a Grundy turkey?
I wish.
Did you kill it yourself?
With an electric stunner?
Exactly. Oh, I'd love to do that. No.
I smelt some false modesty there. I have a sneaky suspicion you might be a very good cook.
Oh, well, no, I'm all right. I'm not nowhere near as good as Russ seems to be, but I'm all right. I quite like the kitchen occasionally. Yeah, I'm okay. But I'm not Russ. I'm not in any way, shape or form Russ, because he seems to, really be quite good.
Seeing as we're sort of prying into your life and poking you with some slightly more invasive questions, would now be a good time to activate our quick fire session of listening?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I'm just let me get myself.
Yeah. Brace.
Yeah, I'm bracing.
Did the fold-out interrogation chair I FedExed you come through?
Yes, I've got it, and they're
yeah.
very bright light in my eyes. It's all here.
Have you got a nice glass of wine?
You know,
handy?
Yes, I have. I have got a nice glass of wine. I'm lubricated.
Jolly good. We did have a tremendous response. You know, loads of questions came in. So thanks to the listeners. But okay, the first question, there are two people asked this, and I'll give the Twitter handles @Smitchus and @Marion Fenton.
Right.
Smitchus says, "What's your choice of kettle?" And Marion says, "What kind of kettle do you have?"
Oh wow! So I'm going to answer those individually. I've got a filter kettle. That's the only thing that's the only special thing about it, is it does filter water, because I do like to filter my water. So that's it. So I have a sort of see-through filter kettle. There you go.
Fabulous. Oh dear, isn't it funny, the obsession?
I know, I love that. Just one,
Yes.
one little scene where there's a 3-temperature kettle, and here we are years later. I love it.
Yep.
Love it. Thank you.
He's an animal for not having a endlessly variable kettle. I'll just leave it at that. Yeah.
@ScriptWren, she asks, "What would your dream Russ storyline be?"
Oh gosh, I wish I'd thought of that something beforehand. I don't know. I think I love. I tell you what I love about Russ is the sort of the comedic parts of Russ, his pomposity and his. So anything that sort of sets Russ up for a fall, I really enjoy. So anything that sort of is his arrogance and his vanity comes shining through, and then he's sort of shot down in flames in some way. Those are the kind of storylines that I really enjoy playing. So sorry, that's not very specific, but that's probably where what I enjoy doing most with Russ actually.
That's great.
Yeah.
Now, I think we've covered @Rosenberg Judith's question a little bit, because she asked, "Did you wonder at any point whether you would become Elizabeth's lover?" So we've kind of covered that.
Covered that. I didn't think so, but I think the question was posed by the scriptwriters for everyone to go, I wonder. But I personally, and again, I will say all of these opinions are just mine, and therefore, the scriptwriters might be disagreeing with me here, or the the editor, the producer, they might be going, "Andy, no, that's not right." But my opinion is that it wasn't going to happen. But who knows? Who knows?
Now, this next one's a bit of a tricky one.
Ooh,
So @Jane Gosh asks, "Does Russ have any inklings about Lily's dalliance?"
What? What are you talking about?
Very well played.
Thank you very much.
I mean, Russ might not, but do you? And I think you might do.
Yes. No, Russ has no idea. He's just had his divorce papers through. He's loving life. He's spreading his wings and loving it.
His decree absolute.
His decree absolute has come
which
through.
I think I tweeted out. That's a decree decreeing he's an absolute legend.
Oh, I love it. I love that. That's the kind of tweet I want to see, rather than the colourful language.
Got a lot of hate for that. I've got to tell you.
I bet you. Well, thank you. You took a bullet for me. I really appreciate it. What was the question again?
Oh, don't worry. Yeah, we'll gloss over Lily's dalliance there.
Oh, I see. Yes, no, he has no idea. He has no idea. Yeah, it's going to come out, isn't it? But there you go.
Several people did ask, "How can you bear being someone so horrible?" So, like @Heather Chloe Dog asked, @Smitchus, @Titian73 said, "Is it more fun to play an odious character?" So that kind of vibe,
yeah, totally. I've spent quite a large segment of my career playing very bad people without any really decent or discerning qualities at all, so and again, you got to sort of dig deep and find the good, and it's quite difficult sometimes. I've played some really nasty people, and then I spent quite a long time playing, I spent a good 10 years playing the Panto Baddie at the Oldham Coliseum, and I loved it. And I love playing baddies, and but I would argue that Russ isn't one. He's flawed. He's very flawed. he's extremely flawed. But at the core of him is a decent human being. So I think he is really good to play because you can have fun with all those flaws, and I do have fun with him. But no, I don't mind. The odious, is that a word? The better.
I think you've answered at Pat Alex T's question, which is, what do you see as Russ's redeeming feature? Because you've kind of covered off. He does come good.
Yeah,
occasionally.
I think he's sincere. I think he's sincere in his love, and I think he's sincere in his creativity and his art, and I think he has sincerity. And then I think he's covered in flaws as well, which is most people. We're all a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And I think Russ is. I think those are his most redeeming features. I think he has empathy, and also what I enjoy. Again, I'll say it again: is I enjoy most about Russ is his arrogance and his vanity and all of those things. I think they're great traits for as an actor to play. So I think he's. I love him.
We can tell.
So take that, Twitter.
Yes. Yeah. Just a couple more. At Mr. Snows, I like this question. Which other Archer's character would you like to have played?
Jim Lloyd. I just love. Yeah. I just.
My.
Yeah, I loved him.
If you had managed to roll Fallon into that, then that would have been Matthew's dream answer. Jim Lloyd and Fallon trigger a very happy place in Matthew's heart.
Oh, there you go. Well, it's definitely Jim Lloyd for me. I think he's brilliant. And again, it was one of the real highlight to do that. To try and attempt to direct him as Russ was brilliant. Actually,
yes.
I loved it.
And finally, at Archers_fan 2015, she asks, and I'm not sure if this is directed at Russ or Andonis. So, what is your fashion style? And Bernadette, whose handle that is a real style icon. So she's interested to know your fashion style.
As me, as Andonis, it's non-existent, I'm afraid. Whatever's on the sale at TK Maxx, I don't know. No, I think with Russ, I think I like the idea that he sort of, he sort of veers between corduroy with leather and paisley. I kind of like that idea. That he's kind of that, really. Yeah, I think that's probably where he's
like
at.
A bohemian sort of vibe.
Yeah, exactly. That.
I have a sneaky suspicion he might dress like Neo from The Matrix.
No, that's me.
With the long, like you, that's you.
With
the
long,
that's
long leather jacket.
And some shades.
To be fair, there are a lot of behind-the-scenes people on film sets who dress like Neo from The Matrix. Lots of kind of black coats and that sort of stuff. But yeah,
it's very true. Gosh, yeah, no, he's my Keanu Reeves. What a dude! Yeah, no, I think that's exactly who Russ is. He is actually Neo living in the Matrix, which is Ambridge.
Very posh, pretentious Matrix.
Yeah.
So Matthew, do you have more questions? Because Matthew, he's king of Instagram and Facebook.
Amazing.
I'm the Twitter.
I'm very honoured to meet the king of Facebook and Instagram.
I'm very much not the king of Facebook or Instagram, but I will give it my best shot. Before I go any further, odious as an adjective is 3 syllables, so it has to be more odious. It can't have the ER form at the end.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
All right, just pass that on to Chelsea, will you?
I will do. I was the punctuation stuff with that. Oh yeah. Anyway, sorry, I really enjoyed that as well.
That was good.
Yeah.
Well, Ron asked a question which you've already answered, which is, if you weren't playing Russ, which other character would he like to play? So we have Jim, so Rona, that's what he said. Someone who calls himself C-Mabs, and there's no other name there. So which character in the Archers would you like Russ to interact with but haven't yet had the opportunity?
Linda.
And
I think that would be funny. It would be.
That's like Ghostbusters. Don't let the streams cross.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, it's 2 very similar emotional energies.
Yeah. I love that. I think she's great. Linda Snell. Yes, please.
Okay, so I think we know that they also asked how would it work into the storyline. Well, maybe something
gosh,
artistic.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it'd have to be something artistic. And again, that's above my pay grade. I have no sort of a talent at coming up with stories. I can just about string a sentence together.
You
So
could storm into the mysteries and go, why have you not
yes.
approached me?
In fact, I think I should anyway, shouldn't I? That's
Yes.
a really good idea. Yes. Yeah, I think that would be a brilliant storyline. Thank you very much, Kerry. I think that's exactly the one.
Jenny Young asked, do you think Russ has any New Year's resolutions? If so, what would they be?
Oh gosh, just to really fulfill his artistic needs and wants, and yeah, and I think that's it really.
What are they?
No idea.
Because a couple of other people did ask, at Julia Lee Author and at Suzanne Young 01 asked what your favourite artistic medium is, because so far we know about romantic painting, parcel tape installation and pasta collages.
If you're asking about Russ's, then my my knowledge of art is very, very bad. So whatever the script says is what Russ is passionate.
Do you have like bulldogs playing poker and snooker on your walls?
No, I don't actually. I do have quite a lot of art, which I like. I like modern art, I have to say. But I'm so bad that I'm literally looking at the art on my walls, and I can't tell you who painted them. There's an actress who's brilliant called Sarah Beck Mather who's a painter, and I've got about 3 of her artworks on my wall because they are fantastic. So, but apart from that, I've got a lot of prints, and that's it really.
I'll tell you what. Send us a link, and we'll include it in the. If there's link to her work, we'll include it in the pod link.
Thank you very much. I'll certainly do that.
And but you painted that beautiful portrait of Lily. I just can't believe this.
See, can I just say that's the other thing is I think people have underestimated his abilities artistically as well. Well, I'm hoping they do. I think, I think that was probably the best piece of art
on her
the world
hair.
has ever seen. Yes.
Exactly. Wasn't it Joy that came in and saw that painting? And
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Yeah, it was. And she was it was. I love that scene. Again, it was just a moment of the real, it was a sincere scene. I think it was lovely.
Joy stripping off was one of the best scenes of the last
year.
Yeah,
it was. I enjoyed all.
Yeah, there was that moment when she went behind the shield, and Russ was, kind of clearing things with Elizabeth, and then there was a round of applause. And then she's got a kit off already.
That was kind of a defining moment for us, for me, because it was a point at which you got to see whether he will walk the walk or talk the talk when it comes to his kind of love of art.
Yeah,
and all he had to do was get little Russ out, and and he couldn't do it.
Yeah, he failed, didn't he? He failed.
There are 2 more comments, but they're basically hitting on you.
There was a lot of that. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what the collective noun for a group of wide-ons is, but I should know that as an English teacher.
Wow.
Kay asked, "Are you single?" And Lisa asked, "He can plug his kettle in round mine anytime."
Well, that's very kind.
The answer to your question is it's a canyon of wide-ons.
Oh my Lord! Wow, of course. How could I forget that? Wow, that's very nice.
I'm not quite sure if this is directed at you or the character. Liam Rayner is a great fan of the show. He said, "Who is a menace to work with?" In brackets, we all know it's Peggy, but we want the gossip. I don't know if he means in person or in the show.
Yeah, I don't. You know what? I've not come across a menace yet.
As if Andonis is going to say.
Yeah, I know.
I've just I've not come across a menace yet. I know it sounds so dull, doesn't it? I'm going to be really boring now and just say that I came into this working with sort of Katie and Ali, particularly Elizabeth and Lily, and it's just been a bit of a dream actually. So yeah, dream job. Yeah,
this is a constant that happens, isn't it? Like the other people, we've had like Matthew mentioned Ryan early on, and we had Susie Ridds on. Everyone just says what a family atmosphere it is, and that everyone looks out for each other. And
it really is. It's there's something about radio, and I'll say it again, and I think theatre is the same in many respects, but because you've got a company of actors, which you get very close. But there's something about radio that it's a very warm. I've always found it a very warm place to work, and I've had some of my favourite sort of moments working with people on radio, and the Archers is kind of the pinnacle of that, really, for me. It sort of embodies that sort of that team spirit. I love it. Family, yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Oh, what a heartwarming.
No,
I was going to say end. It might not be the end of the podcast, but that had a really nice sort of heartwarming, Christmassy feel. Christmas.
Happy Christmas.
Hang on, I copyrighted that, Kerry.
What, Christmas?
It's beginning to feel a lot like Chris Russ.
Sorry,
I came up with that, didn't I?
Did you?
You did.
Well, I'm stealing it then.
No, that's all right. It's ours to share around.
So we've gone from a beautiful moment of warmth to some rather ugly scrapping over
Yeah, thanks, Matthew.
a joke. Yeah.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Just because you might not be able to get to England from Portugal.
Oh God, don't even go there. The amount of hoops I've been jumping through, and don't even know if it's still going to happen for the first time in 2 years. So who knows?
Oh, we'll cross fingers.
I did have something very intelligent to ask of my own, but I've completely forgotten it. So there you go.
I feel like I've dodged a bullet there, because if it was intelligent, I might have failed abysmally.
It will come back to me after we've finished recording.
Okay, well, just send me a text.
I'll just tweet you, and you'll never respond because you don't have Twitter.
It's been amazing to chat to you, but I was just thinking, what would be if you have the time next time there isn't a really big Russ plot coming along, maybe you could pop back and have a chat to us then, because it would be great.
I'd love to. In a heartbeat.
About current plot, yes. So maybe sometime next year, if you have the time, if you can pull yourself away from your life, your Heathcliff-like life on the moors.
I'd be back in a heartbeat. I'd love to come back and chat to you guys. And again, I mean, when there's a nice juicy little storyline going on for Russ, then I'll come and chat all things juicy with you. That's what I'll do.
We've been lucky by default in the past, haven't we? Because Susie came on when there was a Tracy storyline, and then Ryan came on when Lee was prevalent. But I tell you what, like, we did have questions that were sent in by listeners for those, but God, people love a bad boy. We had a lot of stuff for you.
Yep.
Yeah.
And whether or not you think you're the bad boy, and then it's I think you might be in their minds.
Brilliant. I love it. Keep thinking that, guys. Keep thinking that out there. Keeps bread on my table. That's what it does.
Guys, we've just gifted you the wonderful Russ, the wonderful Andonis. Please, please, please. We have never asked anything of you except for kind reviews. So just pop onto Apple and say something nice about us, or say that I love the sound of my own voice, one of the two. And then, yes, if you want to shout to the world about Twitter, where do they go, Kerry?
Yes, the Twitter handle is @thecidershed_pod. Everyone is very, very funny and lovely and warm and friendly there, and the numbers are growing weekly, but all comers welcome.
We're on Instagram, the same handle as Twitter, @thecidershed_pod, and we have a Facebook page, which is a group called The Cider Shed Podcast. That's where you can find us there, so come and join.
So carrot and stick, we give with one hand, we take with the other. We've gifted you the wonderful Andonis, and now comes I guess this hopefully is bad news. We're going to take a week off next week. We're going to have a Christmas break, and so we will see you in a couple of weeks. And thank you very, very much. Happy Christmas and a very, very merry New Year.
Very what?
Edit it, you muppet.
I wasn't planning on having one of those, Peter. I don't think I've had one of those ever.
I like it when this happens. I like when the cracks show and everyone can see the absolute tomfoolery and I have to deal with. It's a nightmare.
I reckon we should end.
Hang on. What was it? A very merry New Year, or?
Oi, don't be horrible. I think we should end with Russ wishing our lovely listeners the Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Well, I'd just like to say to everybody out there in the cider shed world, a very happy Christmas and a merry or nary New Year.
Oh, you as well. All right.
No, that's great.
See ya.
Yes. Oh.
See ya. Bye.
Bye-bye.